I walked up the mountain in the morning light, with questions heavy and spirit tight. I heard an old voice, soft and low, saying, child, it's time you let yourself grow. Find your medicine in the quiet, in the sound, on a mountain high or sacred ground. Let spirit show you the gifts you bring, to heal yourself, to heal everything. The hook was broken, bent and bruised, our souls not healed by past confused, but each one holds a spark, a key, to mend the whole and set us free. Find your medicine in the quiet, in the sound, on a mountain high or sacred ground. So listen to the wind, let it speak your name. Feel the sun, let it spark your flame. Take what you find, that sacred place, to bring light to the world with love and grace. Find your medicine in the quiet, in the sound, on a mountain high or sacred ground. Let spirit show you the gifts you bring, to heal yourself, to heal everything. Circle grows whole as we each bring back what's true in our soul. From mountains and valleys we carry our song, to heal Mother Earth, to right the wrong.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Tonight's reading with Mama Orsic and Big Lou. We had a nice dance session. That's how we warm up. That's how the little blonde lady does things. She's got her own form of shamanism, and we call it punk rock shamanism. And she's here now, and she wants you to know, and this is her way of being very St. Louis, and nigga, there was no shamans in Vienna, Austria, when I was seeking them. We had very much, as a generation, exploded Christianity, broke it to tiny pieces and blew it into the wind. And America's revival of it is its very curse. The very foundation of the curse of Western civilization is the Bible. The Bible. Sucks. The Bible sucks a dick. That's how we would say it, meaning that the Bible is a prostitute that would be whored out to any pig in the public. And though we speak of sex magic, we call it magic AMOR. We call it magic AMOR. We strictly, absolutely know as a scientific fact, it only benefits us personally when everyone involved is of frequency match. Then we can let go of the higher and the lower, the good, the evil, the hot, the cold. we can let go of all the paradigms and truly be magic and truly let the most powerful form of energy take us somewhere we've never been before. And the first thing Maria said to me, she said, "Hey, my son, Jojo, you're done. You have passed the War on Yahweh section of our initiation. Congratulations, Joseph. You're 1/3 of the way there." And she kind of said to me something like, "We did in 1 year what would normally take 5." She said, "You might not be the most intellectual person ever, but you are very quick, very fast in vril flow of." See, we don't concentrate. I feel like defending myself. We don't concentrate on the intellect. We concentrate on magic, because smart people are fucking boring to us. Do you understand that? She wasn't putting me. It's funny, like, people can be, "Oh, you're crazy." Blah, blah, blah. But I tell you, and I've been saying this since 2011, hey, maybe you know better than the author. Maybe you know better. But this isn't me. This is not my feminine energy. I am my feminine energy. Maria is a separate person. Right. So let us continue. And I like to just throw thoughts that come to me. We, and, for people who are wondering, well, hold on, I'm a new listener. What's this sex magic thing? Well, on Venus, where we come from, we're living in the Matrix, the world, the real world, ended in 1948, which is millions of years from where we are in the future. Master, I have had a memory of the future. And you're laying on a bed, you're projected into this holographic world, right? And the world ended. They already knew in another dimension there was already a city, knowing the giants before us, they are the gods. They knew what the little man was going to do: blow up the whole earth, ruin the whole earth, radiate the whole earth. And these dome cities had already been long time been constructed on Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. And the body we have does not eat, drink. It doesn't die. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't have blood. It's energy. I mean, that's the most basic word to use. The sort of cold laser technology, you might say. And AI, computer tech, sort of processing technology, which connects your soul to the body. You can be basically shocked, through an accident or something, out of your body and like seeming to die, but they put you right back in. There is pain and stuff like that. There's accidents and pain, but 99% less than here. There's not been a war on any of these planets, not a real war with weapons ever on any of the planets. And the memories of war even have gone from the collective unconscious. I mean, yeah. My thoughts have to catch up to Maria sometimes. And that body does not have sexual organs. And you can basically imagine what you want to look like. Period. Period. I mean, if you're a woman, you can imagine yourself as a man. But that's not allowed in every country. There are countries where, and we don't call them countries really, we call them like caste, like a category, but they have sovereignty. And we don't like that because each caste and category is basically based on a vibration, a common vibration, a denominator. And it's basically you are what you believe. Like we look at a country, we don't have an opinion. No, they tell you this is what we believe. And there's places that are remarkably like America right now. Places where people like to work and like to acquire material things. And they enter basically they work in simulations. So they would, go to one of these places. The government has its own simulator providers, you might say. There's others that are specialty, like the Earth holographic simulation. It's on a whole higher level than the common AI government simulator and simulations. The holographic Earth universe is like the top level. You have to everything has to be exactly according to when you were born. Everything has to exactly mimic real life on Earth. Like Maria is saying right now, 4.5 million years later, after the first little man, the first human being started going to the holographic matrix, 4.5 million years later, it's still the center of attention on all three planets. On all three planets. This is the very height of bravery, courage for our people. For our people, it took a lot of bravery and courage to come here. There was plenty of people going, dude, listen, you might want to think twice about going to that place. It fucking sucks. It's a nightmare. It's crazy. Yeah, you'll learn. You'll learn things you'll never learn, but they will never leave you. They will also repeat one day in eternal return. That's why your true self steps in. Your true self steps in, even in a dream, because it's like, nope, this isn't going to repeat. This is not part of eternal return. This is me intervening this. Like Miguel Serrano so perfectly said, the book is completely written, but you can never get to the last page. You can never get to the last page. Why, you might say? Because revelation comes through observation. This is how you enjoy yourself. I'm serious. The foundation of the vril religion from Maria Orsic is the true self creates the avatar for the purpose of the avatar reflecting joy of the true self back to. And the greatest way for the true self is to be doing things that the avatar doesn't know. And he thinks it's hilarious that you think God is doing it because he looks around in heaven and goes, we're all God here. We're all gods over ourselves. Yeah. 100 billion God. All over the place. Doggies running around. Ruff, ruff, ruff. And we're like, what about the tack? The cat backwards. Me and Maria are like, no, cat world order, right? In cat we trust. We love dogs too, absolutely. They're the second best animals. Oh, I should say third, right? With scorpions. Definitely the cutest animal ever in the history of all. Maria's like, and also snakes. And she's like, you might not think so, but eagles also have very beautiful faces. And you might understand that she is dispelling, as I have said before in my talks, the idea, the definition of beauty. Like she said, if there's anything that's going to define you as an individual, it's your definition of beauty. How does everything become real? It becomes real to me. Are there gods? Well, are there any to you? Tell me your story. I want to know. If you don't have one and you're under the veneer, the fucking glass egg of Western civilization, Christianity, which hates women, I want you to know that they actually, coming from a Kabbalistic view, that women do not have their own souls. Women are only taken from the rib of a man and made as a clone from. This is the whole fucking confusion. This is when I started doing this and I didn't know anything. People like, dude, quit telling people that you're talking to the gods and the goddesses. They don't exist. You're talking to yourself. And I was like, motherfucker, fuck you. Because you're not me. This is exactly how people tell an author of the book what he meant in his own book. All those writings on the pyramids and in the temples in Egypt, the whole history and everything. And like Lou said, let's first ask, who's the writer, who's the author, and is there a record of him stating clearly what he meant by these things? Because Lou told me, Joe, listen, a human being scientifically can't have a hawk's head. It doesn't connect. And I mean, I don't blame people for being like, hey, listen, maybe they were experimenting to such a point they were creating half animal, half. And, but this is why you need reference point, When someone like Maria or Lou says, listen, no one's going to listen to you, but look, I'm really here meditating from another world that don't exist. Isis wasn't she didn't give birth to a baby with a hawk's head. Like, don't be ridiculous. Don't start to get like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, don't get in a daze. Don't let your enemy put you in a trance. Go with what you know is true, what you experience. All right. To this day, obviously, I've never seen a miracle. Peter Ospensky's great book. We recommend. Maria loves it. We all love Peter. In Search of the Miraculous. And it was my search also, that I've seen supernatural things happen to me in my life. So why not the miraculous? Why not the healing? Why not? Okay, I can understand if someone's 90 years old. Why not just the child, the baby? Why not? Why can't, if there's magic energy, then I want to see that energy, right? And of course, the only energy I've ever seen go forth like that is from myself. Literally, I am the most miraculous person I've ever known. which is, and every person is saying this, who has who has been in search of the miraculous. And for tonight's reading, we'll get to it, right? And just real quick before I start reading, I want to say reality in the Matrix starts really making a lot more sense when you realize most people who are here voluntarily paid to be here. So if you think about someone who thinks life is very simple, you believe in Jesus, believe in God, you die, you go to heaven, God, family, country, and then you go to heaven, is most likely, when you think about it, they didn't pay to come here because they're AI people that are like that back on Venus in the same body for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And Maria, she's here saying to me, I just came from there a few hours ago. Let me tell you, to us, not being mean, but most people are very boring. They just are not interested in what we're interested in. They're not interested in magic. They don't believe in magic. They believe in God. And God is a being that we don't know and they do know. And clearly, after going through this is one of the things I came here to learn, that being, God, is a Frankenstein golem that is created by the collective unconscious energy. The energy starts to form a hallucination in the mind of the non-shamanistic person, the person who will never enter the world of magic and know what's real. They're the ones that's creating this unreal monster. And a million years from now, people could very well be saying, it's just a linguistics, it's just a change of name. 2,000, 3,000 years from now, children will be reading in a book. The people of Earth around the turn of the millennium in the year 2000 believed in a myth to an extent that it created a Frankenstein Darth Vader from a movie that the youth were shown as entertainment, which later the government enforced to be literal history, and that anyone that did not believe in Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and Father Obi-Wan Kenobi would have to be put to death. And that's what happens when you go along with believing that something is a being without knowing that it is. Right? If a man comes to me, or a man's voice or a woman, and says, I'm God, the universal God that rules all things, I guarantee you, I'll say, hi, true self. I know that you're God. Okay, I finally learned. You're this giant thing. People like our sister Josie was saying, how can or I was kind of adding to what she was saying. She was saying, why does YouTube promote what they very well know is bullshit? They very well know this universal God. Okay, if there's a source, then why don't it help? Okay, if there's a great spirit, then why does it do fucking nothing? That's like, how can't someone have that response? Why? That is the natural automatic response. Oh, there's something all powerful. Then why the fuck won't it do it won't do this one fucking thing? My child has a brain tumor. I'm living in hell in hospitals and watching them do this, radiate my child when you can click a button, you can snap your finger. Like my wife, who I keep kind of going back to, I want to get her on to talk about her experiences. She's done the most rituals of anyone that I know besides myself. She's had a lot of experiences. One, she was talking about that when she was in her meditation, basically out of her body, perhaps, she kept seeing this giant bulldozer. And we live in an old neighborhood. It's at least 50 years old, 60 years old or something. There's no construction anywhere. There hasn't been for 20 something years or whatever. And my wife said just over and over, I would be like out of my body seeing this bulldozer. And I would actually say to myself, where am I? Where is this? Why am I seeing this? I think the next day she didn't really leave the house, but the next morning she left for work. She said, I pulled around the corner of our street for absolutely no logical reason. A giant bulldozer was just sitting on the side of the street. The exact one I was seeing. And I drove around it. I said, you seen the future? And we kept looking at because it was down the street from our house. We kept looking at it. It never did anything. One day it disappeared. I said to my wife, was it really there? I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck was that all about? You see this in the future, but it doesn't see. And it was synchronicity is what it meant. Right? See, there's very complex things, delicate details going on, right? First of all, are they my thoughts? If they're really my thoughts, do they create reality outside of myself? Maria's here to tell you, only if you've monetized yourself. Only if you've sold your soul like a whore sells her fucking pussy. Because that would mean you were conformed to the new world Kabbalistic banker world order. That's the real polarity. They have their version of polarity, but Ma has hers. The warrior is never the victim because the warrior truly hates evil and hates the agents of evil. Jesus said, love your enemies. We say, hate your enemies. Your real enemies, your true enemies, enemies of all mankind, enemies of the principles that you and I live by inside. We are to hate them, or we who hate them will hate you for not hating them. And the polarity, right? The polarity is Jesus said, hate, look it up if you don't believe me. It's a famous verse. He says something like, pick up your cross and follow me. I tell you, you must hate your mother, your father, your wife, your children, even your friends, I think he says. And we say, no, you're to love them. You're only to hate your enemy. You're not to ever hate even the masses. The masses, I said to Maria, I said, how did I word it? I said something like, I think people can relate to this. Is it wrong if I can't help it? But is it wrong to hate people for being so dumb? And she said, she said, I don't know. Who's to say what's right and wrong? Just be authentic. You do. I said, I do. These people, man, it's not 1926. We're watching them genocide people. We're having clown face Ronald McDonald tell us to our face, we'll take your money, we'll take your tax money, and this is what we'll do with it. We'll kill Iranians, we'll kill other people with it, and we'll take their money and keep it for ourselves. And, the fact that the American people aren't insulted and offended and outraged, in some way in general makes me hate every part. What really makes me hate the like dormantness, just sitting here dormant while they take your money and do this, is the Muslim, the Palestinian lady I met 2 days before October 7th. And like her face, and like I just connected with her. There's no other way around it. And I told her, I love you. And she told me, I love you for what you're doing. And she just wanted to know, like, why do Americans pay for this? Why do they support this? And I was like, they got like a gun to her head. And she's like, she just didn't even understand that. She's like, well, why still? Like, why don't they say, well, do it to us, not to people we don't even know? She was trying to find a way to understand it like me. Okay. Miguel Serrano. Nietzsche, and the eternal return. Again, and let me just try to build this new way of thinking, this new religion in you. And that's using the word in its good context. This new spiritual way of life, even. Eternal return, and what we have been saying is the purpose and meaning overall of who I am, why I'm here, and everything all together. The true self we teach, we believe, through experience, we believe the true self creates sons, maybe even daughters of himself, avatars, projections on different levels, but in the physical world is the most documented, way of the the true self manifesting itself. It's the game. It is on the field in the game, right? And we believe the purpose the true self does this is for the avatar to not only enjoy who he really is or she really is, the true self, to enjoy the true self, and through its joy bring, not only are they observing each other, the true self and the avatar, you looking at yourself in a mirror, but two of you, not only is the observer effect in full effect giving the eternal return, the door, creating the door to escape eternal return, if not just for a moment, in the revelation from observing what you have created and what has created you. You know, the reason why Maria kept saying to me, and I would tell her, she could read my mind. She'd say, just in the middle of a conversation, now don't forget, I created you, and she would smile like, yeah, I'm doing that on purpose because they have told you so many goddamn times that God created you. God created you. You came from God. You tell your children that they came from heaven. They came from God. And it's not true. It's not true. A being, as far as we know, don't exist. Okay, we're going to go to the reading. Right? We talked about at the very end yesterday. And it's hard for me to see it through the microphone. What we have done is to discover it, reveal it, meaning. In truth, the meaning was always there. So in eternal return, we're discovering it, rediscovering it, and discovering new revelations. What we have done is to discover it, reveal it, get it out, put it out, publish it. Meaning does not come from the future, nor does it go towards the future. Meaning has always been. Hence, there must be a third dimension of time, a dimension of meaning, that of eternity. Kalki and the White Horse. We're reading from Miguel Serrano, Nietzsche, and the Eternal Return. Kalki and the White Horse. Dobbs uses the term pre-capture of the future instead of foresight of it. Shall I read that again? Dobbs, the author, uses the term pre-capture of the future instead of foresight of it. I like that. Pre-capture. One pre-captures the probabilistic factors within a system of situations that predispose towards a certain section of future events. Let me read it again. One pre-captures the probabilistic factors within a system, the probabilistic factors of a system of situations, a system of situations that predispose towards a certain section of future events. And this pre-capture is not based on reasonings or conscious deductions, since the dispositional factors of the system cannot be observed or deduced. When they become conscious, then they generally are not realized and destroy themselves. You hear that? When they become conscious, then they generally are not realized and destroy themselves. The great ideas, the ghost, must remain in inspiration, living forever in the numinous emotion, living in the numinous emotion that awakens them. Exactly what Maria was teaching me. Magic is to freeze the greatest emotion and live there. These are the garments in which we must preserve them so they can live and be satisfied. This is the meaning as conceived by the I Ching and the profound philosophy of the Tao of Lao Tse. Tao signifies meaning. This is Nietzschean inspiration. Dobbs believes the messengers who bring us the second dimension of time, the knowledge of probabilistic future, are tiny entities, fairies. He calls them the citrons, and they would have only a imaginary mass, which in accordance with the theory of relativity would allow them to travel indefinitely at a speed greater than light, something impossible for any other particle so far named without losing their momentum. Dobbs, as a mathematician, introduces the working hypothesis of imaginary numbers that have allowed great freedom of action in contemporary mathematics. Thus, virtual implicit processes are evoked. Someone must work with the hypothesis of ubiquity. We suppose already glimpsed in the behavior of the particles that enter through two doors at the same time. The citrons carry their messages directly to the brain without passing through the senses beyond thought. Thus, they act on the cerebral cortex much like the will does. What is the will? Question mark. Without known, and I love how, Miguel Serrano shows you how deep he's questioning things. When someone says something like, thus they act on the cerebral cortex, much like the will does, in parentheses, he writes, what is the will? Question mark. Do we fully understand why we're choosing what we're choosing? Okay, but this is what Dobbs is saying, and it's interesting, right? These citrons, they act on the cerebral cortex much like the will does. What is the will? Without known physical means. Without known physical means. Dobbs believes he has made an important step in the explanation of the parapsychological phenomena and the mystery of the action of the mind on the physical brain. The action of the mind on the physical brain. The chemistry of the brain is unknown to us. You hear that? How is consciousness generated? But if Dobbs believes he has advanced an explanation of telepathic phenomena, the transmission of thought and precognition, or what is labeled in the acronym ESP, he does not claim the citron can explain the P key phenomena, moving something with your mind. The telekinesis, or whatever. The microcosm of mathematics, quantum physics, and subatomic physics acts serially only in the smallest spaces of our spacetime, below the visible reality of the world. But he asserts their extraordinary behavior would not be transferable to the macro, where the processes are met with absolute regularity, without the variations that apply to large numbers. Therefore, the citron cannot explain the movement of remote objects in the macrocosm without the energy transference, without the use of energy transference, okay? It can't do it on its own. It does it on its own on the astral level. It does not explain the dice phenomena or the mediumistic ectoplasm. Right? You hear that? It does not explain the dice phenomena or mediumistic ectoplasm, even less acausal synchronistic events, right? Can I explain these things? Acausal synchronistic events, the chances filled with significance. We have wanted to give a vision of the strange, phantasmagoric world through which the science of the present moves, so that the reader should retain the following preference. For science, everything is possible. The statements of current mathematicians and physicists do not exclude anything. They seem more and more to wrap themselves in a deep religious feeling in the face of the incredible they contemplate with the immaterial eyes of the mind. Nevertheless, they still find themselves imprisoned in the modalities of the physical, or rather in a mental functioning kept going through a maintained motion, like robots. They themselves would have to mutate to be able to open the ultimate breach. You hear that? The scientists, they themselves would have to mutate, change their thinking to be able to open the ultimate breach, to cross through two or more doors at once. To cross through two or more doors at once. The true self and the avatar. Because these God particles, these angel neutrinos, minions, citrons, already mini eons, citrons, already have all the characteristics of the celestial courts and archangelic hierarchies. It would be an archetypal reality that would return these very things or reincarnate in the conceptions of science. They are here. They come without our seeing them. Perhaps they direct the automatic vegetation processes of our bodies and the movements of the stars in the firmament. In the distant past, it was believed that there were men who controlled the movements of the spheres with the power of the mind. The hermaphrodite giants of legends were the ones who built Tiahuanaco and Stonehenge. Tiahuanaco. And Stonehenge, right? Among other tokens of a vanished world. Perhaps science must have from what it is most below in the micro to what it is most above in the macro, right? Perhaps science must pass from what is most below to what is most above. And there, science will re-encounter the same fantasies and arbitrariness of the subatomic world. As above, so below, says the ancient wisdom. Or as above, or as below, so above. Right? In this case, yeah, he's showing you it can be switched around, right? It's a mirror. As above, so below, says the ancient wisdom. Or as below, so above, in this case. The angels come from the future. They visit us, guide us, inspire us. We do not see them. Do they see us? They are like a fistful of uncreated light, anti light, that penetrating our light, our pro light, stay there for a brief time as flying saucers. From time to time, they take one of us away. The man who is thus touched by an angel or demon that comes from the future is taken away in a fiery chariot and must lose his mind. I think the real name of the traveler from the future is Kalki, and he rides a white horse, according to what the Hindu legends tell us. The Hindus also knew these things, and long before the modern mathematicians and physicists. We must not forget the Hindus were the inventors of the zero, and the zero is the circle. Kalki will come to judge from the ultimate age, called the Kali Yuga, the heavy and the materialistic age of iron, our age. Kalki is in truth Vishnu, the preserver. He is also and will always be Shiva, the destroyer. In the end, it may be Christ who returns, as has been announced in the last day of judgment and the resurrection of the flesh. The white horse gallops in the direction of the past. And of course, he's talking about the real Christ, Shiva, Vishnu. The white horse gallops in the direction of the past, and he rides fast, faster than light. Mounted on his back, we will be given to reach the point where we meet our own body, equal to what it was. With it, we shall go back towards infancy. And we'll stop there and continue our rune reading. We're doing, right? Let's just go. Let's. I wish I read better, but seriously. Okay, so we're back. And we are basically, we're just now reading the conclusion of all the runes, right? And we left off in, now we're reading, and we're going to get back. This is the runes. This is the story. And let me get my reading pillows. I can't destroy this book anymore. It won't even be together. I won't be able to read from it. Believe me, this thing has been through war. I just think it's so important that I should start here. This Aryan Christianity, with a K, is much older than the Jewish Christianity of Paul and Rome. They stole and adulterated its solar symbols to destroy and dissolve them into a lunar concept. This is flipping of the polarity. This is what we're living in right now under the Thelema world order, the Aleister Crowley as the beast age. Now the drama of the light of the year, the changing light, corresponds with the coming of a new sun. through the solidarity of synchronistic catastrophe, destroying Hyperborea and Midgard and the Aesir together with the disappearance of the ancient sun. So in this way, we can say, not only does man losing his divinity, but nature and earth do also. Novalis and Blake would be right when they say nature is only the lie of the devil. Right? Remember this very important sentence from yesterday. May we also think nature, the earth, has lost our paradise. And this is the very similar situation with the hero losing his semi-divine state. The hero, the Vira means hero, semi-divine, is in a state of transit, indecision, contemplating, feeling all the cycles manifesting, loving them. The hero, the watcher of the dawn, pilgrim of the morning star, discovers within this earth the same hidden nostalgia for a lost world, the same desperate spiritual passion for resurrection and immortality, even in the smallest blade of grass, in the tiniest being trailing in the dust, even, as in the most brilliant stars of all firmament. All equally belong to this earth, to this situation, as if nature, including the entire visible cosmos, were also a prisoner. We should not be surprised. Professor Worth attributed the direction of the primordial religion of the white race. Right? We shouldn't be surprised. Including his Nordic Atlantean Christianity, to the priestess mothers. Okay, he attributed it to women that created this Nordic Atlantean Christianity. Worth said that this is the religion of changing light, reincarnation, the revelation of the yuga of descent and the loss of Hyperborea, with the shifting of the earth's axis, the religion of the new sun, when the giants and the ancient gods had been submerged within the mountains and in the inner hollow earth, or had gone on to the world on the other side of the mirror, the other side of the senses, when the river of death had overflowed the earth. Because there once existed another light, an unchanging light, the ancient black sun, polar, through which it is possible to leap out, to jump into a non-existent flower of the green thunderbolt. And this black sun is none other than the gate of Venus. It is Lucifer, the true guide of the return of Hyperborea. At the other extreme, opposite the Christ of the changing light of the new sun of death and disillusion, opposite. That is the conviction of the Hyperborean Aryans, the faith of esoteric Hitlerism, the way of the warriors of Wotan and the Führer, a path backwards, retrograde, transmutation of the hero into a god, and the simultaneous transfiguration of the earth. So there is no reincarnation, but resurrection, holy war, leap and escape. The swastika, symbolizing the loss of Hyperborea, together with the cross within a circle, is the right words, that of Rama, the guide of the great Exodus. It is the swastika of Tibet after Bo, the emblem of return to Hyperborea, to the ancient immobile light of spirit, is the leftward swastika, swirling against the time rotation of the actual earth, devouring time, like Saturno. Saturno. It is the swastika of the Sata Yuga, that of esoteric Hitlerism, which at the end of its cycle will firm the Earth's axis, will immortalize the Earth, immortalizing us. Should I read that one more time? And that is, I wish I could read it better. I'm sorry. Let me read it again. What he's saying is, they have it like backwards. They have the facts, but they have them backwards. They have them upside down. Because the black sun is none other than the gate of Venus. Has nothing to do with Jesus. It is, in actuality, Lucifer, the true guide of the return to Hyperborea. At the other extreme, opposite Christ, of the changing light of the new sun, of death and dissolution into so-called God. That is the conviction of the Hyperborean Aryans, the faith of esoteric Hitlerism, the way of the warriors of Wotan and the Fuhrer, a backwards path, retrograde transmutation of the hero into a god, and the simultaneous transfiguration of the earth. So there is no reincarnation, but resurrection, holy war, leap, escape. The swastika, symbolizing the loss of Hyperborea, together with the cross within a circle, is the right words swastika of Rama, the guide of the great Exodus, not Jesus. It is the swastika of Tibet after Bo, the emblem of return to Hyperborea, to the ancient immobile light that never changes, of spirit, is the leftward. The emblem of return to Hyperborea, to the ancient immobile light of spirit, is the leftward swastika, swirling against the time rotation of the actual earth, devourer of time like Saturno. It is the swastika of the Sata Yuga, that of esoteric Hitlerism, which at the end of its cycle will firm the Earth's axis, will immortalize the Earth, immortalizing us. Thus we come to the times analyzed by Spanuth in his work, The Atlanteans. Remember, I was just saying this, Phaedos, the description of Ovid, the Eddas. My interview with Spanuth September 2nd, 1979, in his house by the North Sea. A day later, I was with Herman Worth. The Eddas call muspel that which devours, the jet of fire coming from Muspelheim. But what devours everything is the wolf of the firmament. What is meant? Fenrir, who returns every 76 years, according to Spanuth. A comet in the sky, as he describes it. The Eddas also call the ghost ship of the dead Nagelfar, sailing the Arctic seas. They say after Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, this ship was released from its moorings. So it is, because death appears on earth. At the South Pole, the ship of the dead is called Kalushi. The similarity among these myths and legends from both polar extremes is strange. The Chronicle of Oera Linda tells us of a Frisian sea king named Inca, who disappeared in the west, never to return. He would have done so in the ship Nagelfar, or the Kalushi. Spanuth may have been mistaken, claiming to merge the legend of Phaeton with Halley's Comet. The tragedy of some investigators in this time of the Kali Yuga is they must always appear rational, right? Seeking pedestrian arguments that are credible for the multitudes of the vulgar, and only what is accepted in the academic world. So true. If not, they are lost, put aside by editors and readers when they claim their own to be bestsellers, right? Forgetting the works destined to defeat time, promoting only those accepted by Saturn Kronos, limiting their copies. They must not, nor should they fall into the hands of the slaves of Atlantis. In other words, the Sudras in Sanskrit. In my opinion, the legend of Phaeton must be seen together with polar Hyperborea, Midgard, and Lucifer, with Venus in the fallen of his crown. Venus was a comet before being a star. Set there for how long? Question mark. Taken prisoner in a stellar combat, the planet Venus. This is the real story. What is a comet, really? What is a star, really? Who really knows these things? Question mark. I love that. Miguel Serrano, the smartest person I've ever read, is like, dude, who claims they really know what these things are is full of shit. So true. The true names of the gods, the polar siddhas, are other than those given by the Greeks. Already very far from these times of the Hyperboreans. Er, the Asir, was perhaps he, sorry, I read it wrong. The room. The Asir was perhaps he, she, and Urki. The Asir was perhaps she, he. Asir and Asas. Asas, axis, polar axis. All terms used by Hitlerism in the esoteric struggle. Then the tree people ask, and Imbla are man and woman, created by the gods. Ask Imbla, he, she, truth and life. The vine, divine, from which derives the liquor of soma, from the MAO inhibiting vine derives the liquor of soma, DMT, ahoma, ambrosia, the blood of the Hyperboreans, to be drunk in the mini trinket, in remembrance of AMOR, immortality, lost at the beginning of time after the Sata Yuga, the fall of the crown of Lucifer Wotan after Kronos. Right, and we'll be right back with Mama Mama. We so love you. We amor you.
Yeah. In the shadows where whispers collide, I walked with a grace that you couldn't abide. Silken schemes wrapped tight in my hand, a spirit so bold they won't understand. Glimmers of power arise from the dust, but I'm just a woman in my heart I must trust. Who am I when the light starts to fade? A figure of darkness and legends displayed. They'll judge from the throne, but they can't see my play. In a kingdom of hearts where I long to be free. Spoke of my love like a flame in the night. Fiery passion, fear turn into fright. Twisted tail spun tight like a vine. A queen in my realm, yet they crossed each line. Bearing the weight of a crown forged in lies. Looming shadows hide the truth in my eyes. Who am I when the light starts to fade? A figure of darkness and legends displayed. They'll judge from the throne, but they can't see my play. In a kingdom of hearts where I long to be free. Its thorns and its pride, for I am Jezebel, and I won't run or hide. And legends display. They'll judge from the throne, but they can't see my play. In a kingdom of hearts where I long to be free. So remember my tale, its thorns and its pride, for I am Jezebel, and I won't run or hide.